As many of you guys already know, today is November 8th, and that means today is Election Day. It's one of the most important days that only comes once every 2 years. I'm Demetrios Araujo, and you are watching the Demetrios Araujo Show. In this episode, we're going to be going over the most comedic moments from Democrats and Republicans alike. Then we're going to be getting into this week's headlines, and then lastly, we're going to be getting into the drama section, and then we're going to be getting into the investment section. So without further ado, let's begin.
I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Okay, so we're going to start off in Pennsylvania, where we have the race between John Fetterman and Merritt Oz. Last week, we talked about Fetterman's disorder and the fact that he cannot even say a sentence that makes any sense. But in this political ad that's resurfacing from a couple years ago, I guess he didn't have this disorder, but I mean, this ad is very, very cringy. So without further ado, let's just dig into it.
Mr. Fetterman. Mr. Fetterman,
Yeah,
you need any help?
I'm running for the U.S. Senate, kid. I need all the help I can get.
You're running for Senate.
Okay, already we can say that this is already very, very cringy, but it's just he's remaking this ad, but he's doing a very, very terrible job. Now let's dig into the rest of it.
Sure.
Where's your suit and your flag pin and your hair?
Oh, hey, kid.
I just want you to know I'd vote for you.
But he can't vote. He's not 18.
Hey, thanks, kid.
You want a drink?
Nah, no.
Really, you can have it.
Okay. Thanks.
See you around.
This is just so cringy. He's just gonna drink the whole drink in front of him, and then he's just standing there like, like he just chugged the whole drink.
Hey, kid.
And the kid's still there.
Catch.
Wow, thanks, Mayor John.
Ew. And then he turns to the camera and says, "Oh, I didn't see you there." Like, no, this is just very cringy. The thing is, if I lived in the state where he was running, or the city, I should say, where he was running, I would not vote for him, like, at all. Like, I'm just very cringed out beyond, like, words can't exchange exactly how cringy this was. And this was actually posted 6 years ago, and I don't know if it's just me, but did his neck fat get actually smaller from that point? Probably not, but I don't know. I don't know how that's possible, but okay. Let's check out Dr. Oz's embarrassing moment, since we do have his embarrassing moment. Let's check this out here. And we have that.
Started doing some grocery shopping. I'm at Wegner's, and my wife wants some vegetables for crudité, right? So here's a broccoli. That's $2. Not a ton of broccoli there. Here's some asparagus. That's $4. Yep. Carrots. That's $4 more. That's $10 of vegetables there. And then we need some guacamole. That's $4 more. And she loves salsa. Yeah, salsa there. $6. Must be a shortage of salsa. Guys, that's $20 for crudité, and this doesn't include the tequila. I mean, that's outrageous.
Okay, so yeah, as funny as this is, it's actually okay. I don't think that he did his shopping in years. I mean, that's what that's what a lot of people are saying. I don't think that he did his shopping in years, which I can kind of see because he is rich. But also at the same exact time, who buys pre-made guacamole? Like, come on, just buy the avocado. It's like 89 cents if you go to Walmart. You can buy the salt, pepper, all those things. You should already have them at your house, but okay. But moving on, we do have somebody else's embarrassing moment. We can check out California. If I make this a little bit bigger, I can actually see this over here. Okay, so we have Florida GOP runs parody ad against California Governor Gavin Newsom following his attack on DeSantis. So let's see this thing right here.
It's Independence Day, so let's talk about what's going on in America. Freedom is under attack in your state. Dictator Ron DeSantis incredibly lets you walk around without masks. That tyrant allows your kids to go to school during the pandemic, year 2 or 4, or who the hell knows. I urge you living in Florida to join the fight. Or join us in California, where we'll take the money you earn and give it to people who don't work. Visit San Francisco, where you can walk through human feces. If you're lucky, you might step on a syringe. Check out Los Angeles, where gas is so expensive, your kids only need to skip a meal or 2 or 10 to afford it. California, where freedom means lockdowns for you, while I go to the places you can't afford. Don't let them take your freedom. Come to California, where we'll take it, along with your money. Legal and idiot disclaimer, this is not Gavin Newsom's voice.
I love that ad because it's this is the first time I'm seeing it actually, because I saw just a headline. I said, let me put this for the show. Let me put this away because I wanted my reaction to be live from the air, and that's hilarious. Oh my God. So I think that this is just so funny because it actually hits so close to home for a lot of people, because if you walk through San Francisco, you'll see human feces, you'll step on needles, you'll get your rights taken away from you if you go to California. But if you go to Florida compared to California, then you can have those rights given back to you. You can choose. But let's move over to Oregon, where we have some more right here.
Want to know what Tina Kotek will do as governor? Just look at what she's done as Speaker of the House.
Passed paid sick leave, expanded background checks,
historic investments in affordable housing,
raised the minimum wage,
and protected reproductive health care here,
no matter what happens at the Supreme Court.
We've made a start on a better future for all Oregonians, but it is not nearly enough. From homelessness to climate change, it's one thing to talk about our problems. It's another thing to make the tough calls to actually get things done. And that's why I'm running for governor.
So right there, okay, yeah, you have a good ad, right? You have a good ad, but I don't agree with you at all on any of your points. Climate change, yeah, obviously we have climate change. We have fall, spring, we have winter, we have fall. We have fall twice, yeah, okay? It doesn't matter. We have seasons. That's called climate change. When the climate changes from morning to night, if it's 80 degrees in the might get to 70 degrees by the end of the day. Wow, climate change. The climate did change. I'm not neglecting that fact. But the fact that we people can alter the weather like a weather person up in the sky, like Mother Nature can, is a complete and utter, like, it's just crazy. Like, what? And you're going to tell me that, what, aliens are on Earth also? No. Listen, that doesn't even make any sense, first of all. We, the people, cannot change the weather like you or your 90-year-old grandma just going to the grocery store in her little Sudan isn't going to change the weather at all. Okay, you need to stop like hallucinating over here. You need to get some water in your system. Probably not the ocean water that you have in this clip, but probably like, I don't know, some good water, like some Fiji water. Get some water in your system so you can actually think about what you're saying before you say it. In Washington, we have, according to CNN, senators deflecting questions about abortion. But here's the thing. I don't know if it's just a political ad, but it's also like the debate. Like, this is according to CNN. They're deflecting questions about abortion. But I just don't know why they don't just come out and say, hey, I support a baby. And I think that the life of the baby should matter. I think that the baby should have a fair chance at life. That is a normal way to think. There's nothing wrong with that way of thinking, and especially looking at the data, abortion doesn't even affect voter turnout as much, so we shouldn't even look at that issue at all. But looking at the next thing, we have actually in Nevada, where we have Jimmy Kimmel commenting on their election. Like, I don't know why Jimmy Kimmel thinks that he should be commenting on any election. He said that in Nevada, we need to elect a person that is fit for the job. Yeah, obviously, we're going to elect the person that's fit for the job. But why are you even commenting on their election? Like, at all? How about you start being funny again? The last time you were funny was like 100 years ago. You're a comedian, but you just want to be a talking head for the left. But without further ado, let's dig into a dozen takes.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love.
We have Nick Carter reacts to the death of his brother Arson at 34. God, please take care of my baby brother. So Aaron Carter's older brother Nick is heartbroken after the singer's death at the age of 34. He wrote in a post on Instagram Sunday saying that despite their complicated relationship, his love for Carter has never ever faded. I have always held onto the hope that he someday want to walk a healthy path and eventually find the help that he so desperately needed. Nick Carter, a member of the Backstreet Boys, wrote in a caption alongside photos of the brothers throughout the years. Sometimes we want to blame someone for something for a loss. But the truth is that addiction and mental illness is the real villain here. I will miss my brother more than anyone will ever know. I love you, Chris. Now you get the chance to finally be in a better place you could never find here on earth. God, please take care of my baby brother. Nick Carter's statement Sunday comes after a source close to the family told CNN on Saturday that Carter, who found stardom as young boys like I Want Candy, and that's how I beat Shaq, was found dead in the bathtub. A spokesperson for the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department told CNN it responded to a call for help at Carter's Lancaster, California home on Saturday morning around 11 a.m. local time, where a deceased person was found. Nick Carter's tribute by his sister, Aaron's twin Angel, who wrote on Instagram, "To my twin, I loved you beyond measure. My funny, sweet Orson, I have so many memories of you, and I promise to cherish them. I know you're at peace now. I will carry you with me until the day I die and get to see you again." Had been open in the past about his struggles with mental health, but once denied having substance abuse issues in an interview with CNN. Carter at times had a fraught relationship with his siblings. In 2019, Nick announced that he and Angel had filed a restraining order against their brother, saying in a statement his younger brother allegedly harbored intentions of killing my wife and unborn child. Aaron Carter he wished harm to no one. Aside from his siblings, those honoring Carter include Hilary Duff, who played the tentacular character on Disney Channel's Lizzie McGuire, on which Carter once appeared as a guest star. For Aaron, I'm deeply sorry that life was so hard for you and you had to struggle in front of the whole world. Duff wrote on Instagram, "That was absolutely evervent. Boy, did my teenage self love you deeply." She added, "Sending love to your family at this time." Actress Melissa Joan Hart also expressed her condolences, posting a picture of herself with Carter and writing, "Sending love to the family and friends and fans of Aaron Carter. Rest in peace." The band, New Kids on the Block, similarly shared their sympathies in a statement on Twitter. "We are shocked and saddened about the sudden passing of Aaron Carter. Sending prayers to the Carter family. Rest in peace, Aaron." So it's just a very, very sad thing when issues like this pop up. It's very for a lot of people, because a lot of us lost a loved one, so we know how it feels for this family. So yes, to the family, I am sorry for you, and may he rest in peace. So moving on, we do have the next article, but I guess the CNN deleted the article because I pasted it there. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense at all. Why are they deleting stuff? Oh, they don't want to be caught. So I have this article right here, right? What I do for the show is I copy the URL of the article and I paste it into the Notes app. And then I use the Notes app throughout the show so I can keep referencing these articles. So I referenced this article here on CNN. And now when I go to search it on CNN, because I just saw it this morning, they deleted the article. It says, "Uh-oh, it could be you or it could be us," but there's no page here. Joe Biden. They deleted an article fact-checking Joe Biden. Like, what? Oh boy. Yeah, they didn't want to be seen. No, but it's right here. What the heck? I don't know. Maybe they changed the URL. I don't even know. Fact check. Biden's midterm message includes false and misleading claims this whole entire time. So, President Biden has been back on the campaign trail, traveling in October and early November to deliver his pitch for electing Democrats in the midterm elections on Tuesday. Biden's pitch had included claims that were false, misleading, or lacking important context. As always, we take no position on the accuracy of the subject arguments. Here is a fact check. 9 of his recent statements. The White House did not respond to a request for comment on this article. That's a little. So I think they're putting him under the bus because they don't want to use him in 2024. They're going to use somebody else. That's probably what they're going to do. So this is according to CNN. Biden said at a Democratic fundraiser in Pennsylvania last week, "On our watch, for the first time in 10 years, seniors are going to get the biggest increase in their Social Security checks they've gotten." He also touted the 2023 increase in Social Security payments at other events. But Biden's boasts lead out such critical context that they are highly misleading. He hasn't explained that the increase in Social Security payments for 2023, 8.7%, is unusually big supply because the inflation rate has been unusually big. The 1970s says that the Social Security payments must be increased by the same percentage that a certain measure of inflation has increased. It's called cost of living adjustment. The White House deleted a Tuesday tweet that delivered an exceptionally trumpet version of the Biden's boast. And Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre acknowledged Wednesday that the tweet was lacking context. You can read a more detailed fact check here. But here's the thing, even Twitter fact-checked Joe Biden, and they've been fact-checking him recently a lot because I've been looking at his tweets because I follow him on Twitter to see. And it's funny to see this in real time. It's like 5 minutes after he tweets, I see the fact check already there. I'm like, really? Wow, that's good. Social Security Part 2. So Biden said at a Democratic rally in Florida on Tuesday, "And on my watch, for the first time in 10 years, seniors are going to get an increase in checks." The claim that a 2023 increase of Social Security payments is the first time in 10 years is false. In reality, there has been a cost of living increase every year from 2017 onward, which is really, really bad, by the way. If we look at this in a different angle, it's actually really bad because of the fact that we can look at this and say that inflation has gone up since 2017. Has gone up since 2017. Every single year. It's disgusting. There was also an increase every year from 2012 through 2015 before the payment level was kept flat in 2016 because of the lack of inflation. Ooh, 2016. That's good. The context around the Biden remark in Florida suggests that he might have botched his repeat campaign line about Social Security payments increasing at the same time as Medicare premiums are declining. He was wrong. A new corporate tax. So Biden repeatedly suggested in speeches in October and early November that there is a new law he signed in August, the Inflation Reduction Act, will stop the practice of successful corporations paying no federal corporate income tax. Biden made the claim explicitly in a tweet last week. Let me give you the facts. In 2020, 55 corporations made $40 billion. And they paid $0 in federal taxes. My Inflation Reduction Act puts an end to this. But puts an end to this is an exaggeration. The Inflation Reduction Act will lower the number of companies on the list of non-payers, but that's because of the new law's 15% alternative corporate minimum tax on the book income companies report to investors only applies to companies with at least $1 billion in average annual income. And there's lots of nuances. You can read more specifics here. According to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, that is in 2021 published a list of 55 large and profitable corporations that avoided paying any federal income tax in their previous fiscal year. Only 14 of these 55 companies reported having a U.S. pre-tax income of at least $1 billion in their last year. In other words, they will paying no federal income tax even after the minimum tax takes effect in 2023. The exact number is not known yet. Martha Gardner is a I thought they were going to credit somebody. Matthew Gardner is a senior fellow at the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, said on Thursday, emailed that the new tax is an important step forward from the tax status quo. From the status quo, and that it will raise substantial revenue. But he also said, I wouldn't want to assert the minimum tax will end the phenomenon of zero tax profitable corporations. A more accurate phrasing would be to say that the minimum tax will help ensure the most profitable corporations pay at least some federal income tax. The debt and the deficit. Biden said that on a Tuesday rally in Florida, look, taking us into debt. Well, guess what? I reduced the national deficit this year by $1 trillion, $400 billion, $1 trillion, $400 billion. The most in all American history. No one has ever reduced the debt that much. We will cut the national debt in half. Biden offered a similar narrative on a Thursday rally in New Mexico, this time saying, we cut the effect. There are two significant problems here. First, Biden conflated the debt and the deficit, which are two completely different things. They are not true. It's not true that Biden has cut the federal debt in half. The federal debt, total borrowing plus interest owed, has continued to rise under Biden, exceeding $31 trillion for the first time this October. Rather, the federal deficit, the annual difference between spending and revenue, was cut in half between fiscal. Second, it's highly questionable how much credit Biden deserves for even that reduction in the deficit. Biden doesn't mention that the primary reason the deficit plummeted in fiscal years 2021 and 2022 was that it skyrocketed in the record high of 2020 because of emergency pandemic relief spending. It then fell as expected as the spending expired, and that was planned. Dan White, Senator Director of the Economic Research at Moody's, an economics firm whose assessments Biden has rapidly cited during his presidency, told CNN's Matt Aaron in October, on net, the policies of the administration has increased the deficit, not reduced it. The Committee for a Reasonable Federal Bracket, budget, an adversary group, says the administration's own actions has significantly worsened the deficit picture. David Kelly, chief global strategist at JP Morgan Funds, told Egan that the Biden administration does deserve credit for the economic recovery that has boosted tax revenues. So, the unemployment rate, Biden said at a Florida rally on Tuesday, unemployment is down from 6.5% to 3.5%, the lowest in 50 years. He said in a New Mexico rally Thursday, unemployment rate is at 3.5% in 50 years. But Biden didn't acknowledge that in September's 3.5% unemployment rate was actually a tie for the lowest in 50 years. A tie, specifically, with 3 months of the Trump administration in late 2019 and early 2020. Since Biden uses these campaign speeches to favorably compare his, that omission is significant. The unemployment rate rose to 3.7% in October. That number was revealed on Friday. After these Biden claims the rate was 6.5% in January, the month Biden took office. But the thing is, everything was still opening back up. It was slowly opening, slowly opening. So the thing is that, yes, everybody was unemployed during COVID because of the fact that they were telling us not to work during COVID. And then what? When we go back to work, you're going to take credit for that? And they didn't mention that. So Biden's student debt policy. During an on-camera discussion conducted by a progressive organization, Now This News, and published online in late October, Biden told young activists that they quote, probably are aware, I just signed a law on student debt forgiveness that is being challenged by Republicans, he added. It's passed. I got it passed by a vote or two, and it's in effect. Biden's claims are false. He created his debt forgiveness initiative through executive action, also known as executive order, not through legislation. So he didn't sign a law and get it passed by any margin. Since Republicans opposed to this initiative, including those challenging the initiative in court, have called it unlawful presidency because in the distinction between a law and executive action is a highly prevalent fact here. A White House official told CNN that Biden was referencing to the Inflation Reduction Act, but he doesn't say that. No, because the Inflation Reduction Act doesn't do debt forgiveness, so that doesn't make any sense. That's a poor excuse. So, gas prices. Biden correctly noted cleaned substantially since their June 2022 peak. Though, as always, there's important note that presidents have a limited impact on gas prices. But in an economic speech in the New York Times last week, Biden said today the most common gas price in America is $3.39, down from $5 when he took office. Biden's claim that the most common gas price when he took office was more than $5 is not even close to accurate. For a gallon of gas on the day he was inaugurated, January 20, 2021, was $2.39, according to the data provided by CNN by okay, where was I? Biden's claims that the most common gas price when he took office was more than $5 is not even close to accurate. The most common price for a gallon of gas on the day he was inaugurated, January 20, 2021, was $2.39, according to data provided by D. Hahn, head of the petroleum analytics at Gas Buddy. In other words, Biden had made it sound like the gas prices have fallen significantly during his presidency when it had increased significantly. In other words, in other recent remarks, Biden also discussed the state of gas prices in relation to the summer peak of more than $5 per gallon. Regardless, the last comment was the second this fall, in which Biden inaccurately described the gas price, both times in a way that made it sound more impressive. You can read the larger fact check right here, which I'm not. Biden and Xi Jinping. Biden had received a claim that was debunked more than and then CNN, at least twice in October. He boasted that he traveled 17,000 miles with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. I've spent more time with Xi Jinping of China than any other world leader has. When I was vice president, all the way through to now, over 78 hours with him, 8 to 9 of those hours on the phone and others in person, traveling 17,000 miles around with him around the world, in China and the United States. He told the Democratic gathering in Oregon in mid-October. Biden made the number seem bigger during a speech on student debt with him. The claim is false. Biden has not traveled anywhere close to 17,000 miles with Xi, though they have indeed spent a lot of time together. Washington Post fact checker noted that in 2021, the two men often did not even travel parallel routes of their gatherings, let alone physically travel together. The only apparent way to get the Biden's mileage past 17,000 is to add the length of his flight journey between Washington and during which obviously Xi is not with him. A White House official told CNN in early 2021 that Biden was adding his total travel back and forth for meetings with Xi. But that is very different than traveling with Xi. As Biden keeps saying, especially in the context of a boast of, and Biden has had more than enough time to make his language more present. The Trump tax cut. Biden claimed at a Thursday rally in New Mexico that under Trump, Republicans has passed a $2 million tax cut that affected only the top 1%. Biden correctly said in various October remarks that the Trump tax cut was particularly beneficial to the wealthy, but he went too far here. It's not true that the Trump policy only affected the top 1%. The Tax Policy Center think tank found in early 2018 that Trump's law will reduce individual income taxes on average for all income groups, and the think tank estimated that between 60 to 76% of taxpayers in every state will receive a tax cut. And in April 2019, tax preparation company H&R Block said 2/3 of its returning customers had indeed paid less in tax than that year than they did the year prior. The New York Times reported in an article headlined, "Face it, you probably got a tax cut." The Tax Policy Center did find in early 2018 that people at the top were getting far the biggest benefits from Trump's law. Specifically, the think tank found that the top 1% of earners would get an average 3.4% increase in after-tax 2018 revenue, or income, versus the average of 1.6 income increase for people in the middle quintile. Income increase for people in the quintile below that, and just an average of 0.4% income increase for people in the lowest quintile. The think tank also found that the top 1% of earners would get more than 20% of income benefits from the new law than the bottom 60% of earners combined. The distribution could get even more skewed after 2025, when the law's individual tax cuts will expire, if not extended by Congress and the president. If there's no extension, and therefore the law's permanent corporate tax cut remains in place without the individual tax cuts, a Tax Policy Center had estimated that in 2027, the top 1% will get the top 1% will get 83% of its benefits from the law. But that is personally about the future, Biden claimed in the past tense that this wasn't the first time Biden overstated his point about the Trump tax cuts. The Washington Post fact-checked him in 2019, for example, when he claimed all of it went to ultra-rich corporations. So I actually really like this CNN article. I think that they did a really, really good job on saying the facts and only sticking with the facts. But the thing is that they don't do that all the time. And it's sad that we're actually shocked when they finally do. Like, that's a sad thing. Can we not mention that? It's a sad thing. Now, let's get into the next article we have from MSNBC. We have Republicans are forcing trans voters into an impossible predicament. Oh no, for transgender Americans, voting is awesome. For transgender Americans, voting is often a nightmare of awkward and invasive experimentations or even outright hostility. So, let's get into this article. There has been a few elections as critical to transgender Americans as this year's midterms. Over the past year, 238 anti-trans bills have reportedly been introduced in dozens of state legislatures. Trans people and allies have undertaken vast efforts to beat back the onset of bigoted bills that have dotted the landscape as of late. The most straightforward way to combat such acts, of course, is to vote for elected representatives who can best protect our basic human rights. But that's not basic. You pretending to be a woman by putting on a dress as a man is not your basic human right. Like, what are you talking about? You having a mental disorder and letting it just go out and free into the out in the open, that's not your basic human right. If we have somebody with paranoia and then they go and stab somebody, that doesn't make any sense. No, we're not going to let that happen. If you have a mental disorder, we're going to let that get cured. You have a mental disorder. It's called gender dysphoria. We need to get that fixed immediately. So, moving on with the article, hundreds of thousands of trans people could already find themselves disfranchised at the ballot box this year thanks to the strict voter ID laws. Oh no, poor baby. You changed your name and now it doesn't match your ID. Oh, okay. So the thing is that it does not matter. If you changed your name, okay, if it's legal, then you should have an updated ID. If you don't, then you're stupid. You're just dumb. You don't have an updated ID of your real name. What, you have your fake name? It doesn't matter. If you don't go by this name anymore, if that's your real name, you need to use that real name. Like, well, if you don't use that real name, that's fraud. If you don't use your real name, like what, a fake ID? Like, yeah, and then you're gonna complain that you're arrested. Like, it's just stupid. Moving on, we have Major Taylor Greene. GOP won't give Ukraine another penny. Good. We shouldn't give them another penny. This war has gone in. So the fact that we're still giving them money at all at this very point is just devastating and it's stupid. We should immediately cut funding because they should not be getting any more of our money. It's just not right. So moving on to the next article we have from NPR. I'm not even going to read that article, honestly. We have the next article from NPR. Okay, so we have the article right here. Okay, so moving on, we have the next NPR article right here. So be patient. This election is probably going to take a while. What do you mean it's going to go on for a while? So election day is on Tuesday, but with early voting, the more accepted use of mail-in voting, and the projected razor-thin races, it's really election season. Oh, it's not election day. It's election season. It's election year. Oh my God. It's election 2 years. Oh my God. Casting your vote. Why don't you vote for the 2024 and 2022? Why don't you vote for 2028 and 2024? Like, why not, guy? If you don't have enough time, no, you don't vote early because anything can happen. I'm voting today. That's when I'm voting. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Don't vote early. Don't mail in vote. Your vote isn't going to, no, just vote in person. It's much better. And Tuesday only marks the beginning of the next phase in the grid for so many of these elections to go on for days, if not weeks. This is all perfectly normal when there are close elections. It doesn't mean that there is fraud. Despite the lies about the 2020 loss of former President Trump has punished candidates has what? Despite the lies about his 2020 loss, the former President Trump has pushed and so many candidates he's backed have promulgated. Republicans need a net gain of just 5 seats to take back the House. They're in the driver's seat and widely expected to reach that and then some. But the full extent of the GOP wave, if there is one, or whether Democrats pull off the surprise and holds the House, wouldn't be shown. Yeah, because they're just stupid. India has 1 billion people. And they can actually do the election in one day. Why does America take months to do it? Weeks to do it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. With the technology we have now, we should count all those ballots in one day. It should not be acceptable to take weeks and weeks to count our ballots. It's stupid. We're not in caveman ages. Republicans, okay, I just read, and it will take a while to count all these votes. There are lots of competitive seats in California, for example. California polls don't even close until 11 p.m. Eastern Time, so don't expect many of those to be known on election night. In past years, it's been a close case. It's been on the case, and it's been taking a long time to know results, days and weeks. For the Senate, all 4 states, Pennsylvania and Georgia in the east, and Arizona and Nevada in the west. In Georgia, there's a libertarian on the ballot who is very likely to serve as the place for a protest vote, meaning neither the Democrat or Republican in the race might surpass 50% threshold required to win the election outright. If that happens, the election would go to a December 6th runoff, which means quite possibly wouldn't be known for a month after Election Day. Election results often require patience, and there is no one different. This is no different. Recent years have seen a rise in mail voting, and states have different rules when it comes to those mail ballots are due. States have different procedures for when those ballots can be taken out of their envelopes to be processed and tallied. And this can lengthen the count. Let's look at 5 states with crucial state races where there can also be delays and confusion. In Pennsylvania is one of the places we're expecting to see a pretty dramatic shift on election night. Vote tallying should be faster this year than in 2020, considering that there is fewer mail-in ballots likely. But those mail-in ballots will lead to confusion. Be aware of a red mirage, and a later blue shift. Lots of mail-in ballots will be reportedly early, and we know that Democrats have been far more likely to say that they're going to be voting early or by mail. This could initially make it look like a Democratic lead, but in person results. But then in person, oh my God, that could initially make it look like Democratic lead. But then in-person ballot results will come in, likely showing Republicans pulling ahead in a close race. Then the rest of mail-in ballot results will trickle in later in the evening because they will take longer to and will later and will likely favor Democrats, and shifting things even more. In Philadelphia, simply takes a very long time to report its results. This is what happens, and it's not near furious. Near furious. In Wisconsin, doesn't allow election officials to begin processing mail-in ballots. Also, in Milwaukee, high concentration of black voters, and Dane University of Wisconsin, younger and more liberal voters take a longer time to report than you can see another red mirage. In Arizona, saw a slow trickle in Trump favor in 2022, and as the hours went on, but other years have seen it opposite. Which way the shift will go this year, but there will probably be one. The 2020 presidential The 2020 presidential was called at almost 3 a.m. ET, but the vote counting continued for days, and Biden's lead, though it held up, continued to shrink. Ultimately, the state was decided by just 0.3 percentage points, and in Arizona, to automatic recounts for any contest that's separated by 0.5% or less. Arizona has been ground zero for election denialism with counts and recounts, and an attempt to putting a fake slate of electors up for favor of Trump. So, in addition to the close vote, the challenges that noise legitimacy of the vote could cause even more chaos. Yeah, because of the fact that we're taking days and days and days and days and days to count all of these ballots. No wonder people are going to ask questions. If we could, in the past, make election day, and know who is president by 12 p.m. the next day, 12 a.m. the next day, then why did our technology get worse? Because we allowed mail-in voting. If we allow mail-in voting in it, then cancel mail-in voting. Do not allow for mail-in voting if it takes so long. These people can go out and vote. You can vote right across the street from your house. You can vote, 2 miles away? Well, it's not even a lot. And then you're going to go 5 miles away for your Starbucks? Like, come on now. It's just stupid. Had seen a huge population shift in Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs that have titled the political hue bluer in recent years. And those suburbs report their results later than usual than rural communities. And those suburbs report their results later than counties. In those suburbs report their results later than rural counties. So again, there could be another red mirage here. Nevada is a similar story to Georgia. It's a growth state, and most of that boom has been in Las Vegas County, which in Clark County, the largest population center in the state, where almost 70% of all states' votes came from 2020. Clark and Washoe, Clark and Washoe, which went for Biden 2020, count more slowly than the more rural counties, which went for Biden in 2020, count more slowly than the more rural counties. That will be overwhelmingly favor Republicans. Also, post is one state that has moved toward mail-in voting. People still have an opinion to vote in person, but every resident in the state was mailed a ballot unless they chose to opt out of receiving one. Keep in mind, also the election officials first report unofficial results. Certified results come days, if not weeks later. Legal challenges and recounts. Expect that this will go on for a while, so patience will be needed in this impatient time. The thing is that no, we're not going to have patience because our election should be known the day of, or the 12 o'clock 12 o'clock a.m. the day after. Like, it's just stupid. We should already know who's the president. We knew in 2016 who the president was. I woke up the day after and we knew who the president was. Why is it different now? It doesn't make any sense. Moving on to the next article, we are from Fox News. Hate crime for anti-Asian assault. Go back to your country. Oh, yikes. So federal hate crimes have been filed against a man who allegedly assaulted an Asian student in Ohio solely based on race. Darren Johnson, 26, was indicted by a grand jury this week on federal hate crimes charges stemming from a 2021 report in which he allegedly attacked an Darren Johnson, 26, was indicted by a grand jury this week on federal hate crimes charges stemming from a 2002 victim near the campus of University of near the state university, according to a press release from the Department of Justice. The DOJ alleges that Johnson, who is black, told the victim to go back to your country during the assault. You brought the Kung Flu here, Johnson allegedly said. You're going to die for bringing it. So this is the picture of the person right here. So the thing is that people are dumb. I think that's the takeaway from the story. Johnson allegedly threatened to kill the victim during the attack, and charging documents state that he punched the victim in the head, causing him to fall and hit his head on the bumper of a parked car. The victim suffered several injuries, including a concussion and bruises to the face. Johnson pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor assault and criminal intimidation in October 2020 and was sentenced to a year in jail. Johnson faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted in a federal court. A report from Stop AAPI Hate released this year showed that 9,000 instances of anti-Asian hate crimes have been reported since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Additionally, police in New York said earlier this year that the hate crimes against Asians soared 343% in 2021. In 2021, the president signed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act into law, which created a new Department of Justice position to expedite and review the potential COVID-19 related hate crimes, which are reported to federal, state. The bill also expanded efforts to make the reporting of hate crimes more accessible at local and state levels. So the takeaway of this is people are just stupid. I mean, this person should be locked up for the 10 years because you shouldn't be going around saying stuff like that. So let's move on to the next article. Okay, so we have the next article from Fox News. We have Colorado woman left handcuffed in police car, struck by train to face charge. So this is the video right here. It's just very graphic for people. This is your warning. Okay, let's do full screen. Okay, this is the video right here. Okay, let's rewind it a little bit. Yikes. And then the police car just gets obliterated, like literally. That's really bad. I don't know why the police officer actually did this, though.
Tell her to get on her knees.
What's going on?
She's then placed in the back seat of a Platteville patrol car. We're told Gonzalez was stopped for suspicion of felony menacing. Then a train whistle can be heard. An officer seen scrambling. Then the train hits the patrol car with Gonzalez in the back seat. Her attorney telling us today she has 9 broken ribs. She has head and leg injuries and broken teeth. Paul Wilkinson says Gonzalez was handcuffed in the back seat and tried to get out, but the doors were locked.
Should be tried on multiple accounts. Like this is the person that was inside of the car, and this is the car right here. This police officer, no, because you should not be so irresponsible and to leave somebody in the back of a car, and then what? And you're gonna save yourself? You're gonna save yourself, and then a train's coming. You're just gonna get out of the way? No, you shouldn't have parked right on the train track. Who does that? So next, we have an article from Breitbart. We have Joe Biden promises climate activists at rally in New York no more drilling. No more drilling. No more drilling. So we have high gas prices, but you will not drill anymore? Doesn't make sense. Joe Biden told climate activists on Sunday that he would not allow any new drilling in the United States just after he complained that oil companies are not drilling enough. Like, he'll talk out of both sides of his mouth. No more drilling. There will be no more drilling. And this is the clip right here.
Thank you. No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling.
Oh, and then Kathy Hochul is right there. Oh, get out of here. No, nobody likes you. Kathy Hochul knows. It's just so dumb. It's just crazy how people are just so stupid. Like, I can't. You're just going to trust Joe Biden, even though a couple days prior he said that that we need to have more drilling. Like, we need stuff to happen in the United States because that's going to be the cheapest for us. Excuse me, that's going to be the cheapest for us if we actually produce in the United States. It just makes sense. If we drill more in the United States, we don't have to pay any import fees. We'll just have it right here in the United States. Now, moving on to the next article from Breitbart, we have exclusive, every day at border. But he won't talk about this. President Joe Biden is welcoming at least 6,200 border crossers and illegal aliens into American communities every day, according to figures stated with Breitbart News from the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR. For the month of October, close to 87,000 illegal immigrants successfully entered the United States at the southern border without being apprehended. This got-away figure only includes those and potentially thousands more have successfully entered into the United States via the border. The number of gotaways is particularly significant as over the last 2 fiscal years, more than 68,000 border crossers and illegal aliens with criminal records were encountered, including many that were apprehended at the border by Border Patrol. At the United States border, Mexico border, suggests evading apprehension each month. Agents have reason to believe those who have criminal records or are on the terror watch list are among those speaking enough fair, President Dan Stellan said in a statement. In addition, and illegal aliens were released into the United States interior by the Biden administration as part of its expansive catch and release network. Together, this brings the total number of border crossers and illegal aliens who enter the American communities in October alone to about at least 192,000 Saratoga, Florida, which is about half of the total number of apprehensions of this month. The primary responsibility of the federal government is to protect Americans and our interests, Stalin said. President Biden and Secretary Americans have willingly, and consistently, we have never seen such numbers in our history, and the Biden administration's open border policies are solely to blame. Yeah, and I completely agree. We can't say flood the border as soon as I'm elected, flood the border, and then you're elected, and then you're like, whoa, why is there so many immigrants? Like, You just told people to flood the border. Well, what to watch in the high stakes of the 2022 midterm elections. So, after months of primaries, campaign events, and fundraising pleas, the midterm elections that will determine the balance of power in Washington and state capitals are finally here. This is the article title right here. Okay, so Republicans are pretending I'm predicting a massive red wave. No, it's not a red wave, it's a red tsunami. As anxious Democrats defend their narrow margins in Congress while struggling to overcome pervasive concerns about the economy, crime, and President Joe Biden's leadership, Democrats are hoping that the backlash against the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade will save them. It will not. We already talked about this last week. The political environment has led to an unusually large playing field as embroidered Republicans press into Democratic strongholds like New York, California, New Mexico, Washington State. Still, the marquee races are taking place in swing states like Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, all of which could help determine the outcome of the 2024 presidential contest. Because of close contests and extended vote counting, it could take days or weeks before the final outcome is known in several key races. What watching on election day? Red waves, they're saying. Wait, let's see here. They said with Tuesday's midterm elections coming up, President Biden campaigned in New York with Governor Kathy Hochul. So let's see this right here.
Joe Biden, our 46th President of the United States of America, he's here to talk to you. Let's bring out our president.
Wow, I'm surprised he didn't sniff Kathy's hair. Ugh.
You saw what happened last time under my predecessor. He's the first president in America since Herbert Hoover to lose more jobs than he had when he came to office. Fewer jobs, an unemployment rate, 6.4%. He lost manufacturing jobs. Hundreds of small businesses closed.
Okay, so this is a complete... Oh my God, I cannot believe the gaslighting. I cannot even sit here for more than 10 seconds and listen to this guy spew like lies and utter lies, lying to the American people. You're talking about COVID, that the whole entire world was shut down, and your administration officials that are in your White House at this very moment were the ones pushing these harmful things that are shutting down local businesses. According to Yelp, 50% of businesses, at least, went out of business during COVID-19 because they could not survive under the Democrats closing all the states down. So you're going to sit here and blame Trump for those doings, but it was Democrats that were pushing those destructive rhetorics to destroy the small businesses in the very first place. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You're the one, as Democrats, shutting down places in the United States. The president of the United States, the president at the time that was trying to open our state back up or our country back up, like, it's just stupid. Moving on, I don't even want to see that video anymore. I'm just already annoyed. According to the AP, banned book lesson thrusts Oklahoma teacher into campaign. So this person, read banned books. So this person is looking a little like a clown, Steve Urkel type. Like, I just don't even know. I think that's an insult to Steve Urkel. But here's the thing. Read banned books. You know, the reason why we restricted those books from being read in schools is because of the fact that it is immature and it is unreasonable to think that students should be reading books about how to masturbate, how to have sex, how to have gay sex. It should not be a book that is in schools. This is literally America, where students or kids in general should not be taught about sex. It should not read banned books. So you're telling kids that they should be reading books about how to have gay sex the right way. Is that what you're saying? Because these are the books that were restricted from being read in schools. You're probably the one reading to the kids these books too. So it's just very, very disgusting that you're pushing these books. So reading the next article, we actually have articles from the Federalist every single week now. So I'm very, very excited. So according to the Federalist, if Republicans win on Tuesday, think the election integrity movement. So, against a hostile propaganda press, many Americans have poured themselves into restoring election integrity, and it's working. If Republican candidates do as well as expected on Tuesday, they can credit the new widespread and coordinated effort to begin help give candidates the best opportunity possible to win a fair fight in the new voting environment of mail-in balloting. But we should not even have mail-in ballots, but okay. The Republican National Committee and other party the Republican National Committee and other party entities and dozens of public interest election nonprofit groups built over the last 2 years of multi-million-dollar election integrity infrastructure that passed over the last 2 years, a multi-million-dollar election integrity infrastructure that passed laws improving voter ID and other election security measures, defended those laws from legal attacks by Democrats, and sues states and localities that failed to follow the law. They also recruited, educated, trained, and placed tens of thousands of new election observers and other workers throughout the long midterm voting season. They did it all in one of the most hostile propaganda environments on record. So they're just talking about the 2020's wake-up call, and Republicans spent 40 years in the sidelines. But anymore. And they're just saying in this article that we need election reforms. Before mounting successful lawsuits, however, better laws had to be passed. A difficult task in the immediate aftermath of the 2020 election, when Democrats claimed any criticism of how the election had been run was unacceptable and possibly criminal. The campaign designed to suppress efforts to bolster election security continues to this day. Nevertheless, Republican lawmakers in dozens of states began pushing for election reforms. For example, bans on so-called Zuck books, the private takeover of government election offices, were passed and signed into Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and West Virginia. 6 Democratic vetoed attempted bans, and understanding how key Zuckerberg's funding was the Democrats' success in 2020, the governors of Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin all vetoed the bans. Wisconsin's governor, currently in a tight election, vetoed twice. The Kansas legislature overrode the veto. So the governors over here vetoing decisions, but nobody agrees with them because it overrode the veto. The legislature wanted this so bad. I don't blame you. Oh, what's the boy? What is it? So the legislator wanted it so bad that they went out and they just completely re-vetoed. They overdid the veto. So it's like, it's crazy because we need to show these governors what we really mean. We want election integrity. We want to make sure that every vote is actually validated. We need to make sure that every single vote is made sure that it is an actual vote and it's not just some stupid person voting on behalf of somebody else. It doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't have that. This is all that we're going to have for today's show because of the fact that it's getting a little bit past the time because we stood up on these articles a little bit longer than we should have been. But you know what? It's election day. I wanted to get all of the facts of election day. Thank you all for watching, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. And before you go, I want everybody to know that today is election day. Go vote. Go vote today. Go vote. Go vote. It's very, very important for every single person, no matter who you stand for, what you want to happen, who you want to vote for. It doesn't matter. Hey, were you really going to click off this video before leaving a like and subscribing down below? Wow, so rude.